Today I'd like to talk to you about some possible knots that you might want to consider using in your fly fishing endeavors. First of all, you have to consider the knots that you're tying the backing to the reel. If this is your reel here, the first knot that you might want to consider tying to the arbor of the reel is what they call an arbor knot, which is simply an overhand knot tied onto the line and you cinch it down tight, or a Duncan, which is a loop knot and very simple to tie and cinches down very tight and is very strong. As we mentioned in another video, the reason for the backing is to build up around the arbor build up that space, take up that space so that your loops of the fly line are not coiled so tight around the reel, especially in a small arbor reel. Those coils can be troublesome. So this represents the amount of backing that you put on the reel. The end of the backing is going to be tied to the rear end of the fly line, and that area there you might consider using a nail knot or an Albright knot. Then if this represents the fly line, at the end of the fly line, at the very tip, you're going to tie the tip of your butt section of your leader to that. A couple of knots you might want to consider there, or your nail knot, or if you are in a situation where you don't need as strong a knot possibly, and you're tying a lot of flies on and you're using up your leader each time you tie a fly, you're cutting part of that leader back. A quick change out with a loop to loop would allow you a quick change out of that leader, compared to a nail knot where you'd have to cut the fly line each time and use up part of that fly line. Fly lines are built with a 6 to 18 inch sacrificial area of the tip so that you can cut it back and not get into the taper of the line, so you don't alter the performance of the fly line. Then you've got several knots to consider if you're building your custom line. A lot of times we just have the option of ordering from Scientific Anglers or Rio or over Bass Pro Shop or Cabela's. You can order different types of non-tapered leaders, knotless leaders, where there are no knots from the butt section to the tippet. It's simply tapered down all the way to the very end, and you tie your lure and there are no knots in between. If you're making a custom knot, then a couple of knots to consider, custom leader rather, a couple of knots to consider would be your barrel or your surgeon's knots. Tying on the fly, most of us have done some type of conventional casting with conventional tackle, and fishing with probably learned the improved clinch knot, which is a very easy knot to tie. Another one would be if you want to give that lure a little more lifelike action or a different type of action, the lefty non-slip loop knot works very well in that regard as well. In fly tying, there are numerous other knots that you can learn to tie for different occasions. Some of those would be like your Bimini or your Huffnagel, your Palomar, or your Trilene knots. Those might all serve you well from time to time. I'm Keith Richard, Master Casting Instructor with Fly Fishers International. I'm here with A Hero USA, and we appreciate you watching this video. Consider becoming a friend of A Hero USA. Thank you very much.